Today we are looking at the life of Esther as written in the book of Esther. One of the things that stands out about the book of Esther is that God is not mentioned in this book of the Bible, not even once. This seems to be a deliberate invitation by the author, who's anonymous, for the reader to look for God and God's activity in between the lines. And I want to encourage you to do that. Go and read the book of Esther and look for God in all that's happening. Look for God in all the coincidences and the ironic reversals, and see if you can see the activity, the actions of God in the background. The events in the book of Esther take place about 100 years after the Jews were taken captive by the Babylonians. Some Jews had returned to Jerusalem, while many had stayed behind. And we meet Esther. She's born in captivity. She's basically a refugee, and she's orphaned at a young age. And she's adopted by her cousin Mordecai and raised by him. So we see this incredible dynamic. We see from a very humble beginning, Esther unexpectedly wins a nationwide beauty pageant and becomes queen alongside King Ahasuerus. Now, Esther and her cousin Mordecai must have been amazed. I mean, to think all of this kind of from the humble beginnings, they must have been amazed by the blessing and the favor of God on Esther's life. And maybe they even asked, what is God's purpose in all of this? Then enters Haman, a man of great influence and authority in the kingdom. And he's very offended when Mordecai refuses to bow before him, and he plots to destroy not only Mordecai, but all the Jews in the nation. He convinces the king to sign a decree to put into action a countrywide genocide, a plan to murder all the Jews. Now, Mordecai asked the pertinent question, maybe this is the very moment for which Esther has become queen. Is this the reason why God had put her there? This might be the very reason why God has placed her in this position, for her to use her influence with the king to save her people, God's people, from destruction. Now Esther asks Mordecai and all the Jews to join her, to pray and fast with her for 3 days. And then she boldly approaches the king, knowing that doing so without invitation could cost her her life. We see God giving her favor once more, and Haman's evil plan comes to nothing. Instead, he's executed on the same gallows which he had constructed for Mordecai. Mordecai, in turn, is rewarded for saving the king's life. We see this early on in the book of Esther, and he is appointed in Haman's position. In the book of Esther, we see God using two very ordinary people from humble origins to save his people from destruction. We see that although God is not mentioned, not even once, he's invisible in the book of Esther. He works behind the scenes. He works as powerfully as ever. He works on behalf of his people, delivering them from death. And his plan and purpose remain and will come to pass, even if it's not evident, if his plan and purpose is not visible or on the front page, it will come to pass. Just like Esther, your and my lives are in God's hands. As we yield to his will, maybe we should also ask, what is the reason behind the season that I am in? What is the purpose of God in all the favor and blessing I have received? What is the purpose of God for the place of influence I am in? Let us not miss out on our Esther moments, the aha moment, when we realize this just might be the God reason I am right here, right now, for his kingdom to come and for his will to be done.